Alright everyone, I can't believe that I actually have to make a video with this sort of title and this sort of content, but there's actually a political debate right now going on over fucking milkshakes. And I've watched and listened to a bunch of different sort of commentary on it. Like I watched Paul Joseph Watson's video, and Zernu weighed in on it, and some of these others that do, political commentary. And I'm thinking... It's almost surreal, because you basically what's happened is this. Apparently people that don't like sort of Brexit, UKIP, the Tommy Robinson, Sargon, Nigel Farage nexus of alternative commentary and politics in the UK have gotten it into their minds that the way to deal with the situation and express their frustration is to act like an ape, essentially, and throw things at them. And for some reason, milkshakes specifically have been chosen. Now, I'm not sure, is this like a tip of the hat to the fakery of milk being related to the alt-right or something? It might be. I honestly don't have a clue. So they've been throwing milkshakes at Farage and people like that, Dankula, and doing that, habitually, because they're against, they're tolerant and above board, and they're enlightened, so they throw milkshakes at people. The first thought is this: it's better than throwing rocks and Molotov cocktails and stuff like leftists normally do. So it's like it's relatively minor, I suppose you could say. But can you understand, and Paul Joseph Watson pointed this out, if a bunch of UKIP supporters, if Tommy Robinson's fans or whatever, went to a communist rally and threw a milkshake at that Jason dude with the shitty mohawk or somebody like that, can you imagine? It would be front page news, number one, and number two, it would be decried as assault, and evidence that Robinson's fans or Sargon's fans or whatever, the right, the mythical right, is fascistic and evil, and they'd be like, well, they're throwing milkshakes, they'll be throwing bombs tomorrow. They'd say these things. And we've seen it before. One bad action, it's like if one of my fans goes and shoots someone, of course BuzzFeed's going to write about it. See, he's inciting violence because one of his fans, which is statistically within the realm of possibility. Unfortunately, some of you are like rapists and stuff. Just putting that out there. I have to keep that in mind as I make commentary. That is representative of the whole total. That is, that it's when it's applied to independent commentary, smaller political movements, alt-tech, anything like that, one bad apple is taken to be representative of the whole barrel. Oh, it's just all rotten, they're all scumbags, they're degenerates, they're deplorable. On the obverse, though, when this sort of thing happens here, it's considered a joke, it's considered cute. The independent's like, oh yeah, it's fucking hilarious, basically. It's not just alright, it's great when Nigel Farage gets a milkshake thrown at him. I wonder, is it illegal, by the way, under UK law to incite violence? Wouldn't that count as assault under UK law? You can't even have a fucking butter knife over there. Apparently they're going after spoons, and that's where I fucking draw the line. I can never go to the UK now. You're not getting my tourist money. I'm not going to go see Warwick Castle. It's very sad. Can you imagine if Nigel Farage fans showed up and threw one at Theresa May? Oh, it'd be a free-for-all. Oh my god, they're fascists, they're violent people. You know that they would. Some level of hypocrisy is palpable. But again, that being said, you have a situation as well where it's like, it is just a milkshake. And Burger King got embroiled in it. Weren't they like almost encouraging the behavior, like talking about milkshakes at their venues around these rallies, and then the cops showed up and would ban them from selling milkshakes and shit? That's weird. From this side of the pond, from the outside looking in, it looks really weird and dystopian. The land of Orwell in the most literal sense. Isn't it true? And I don't know if this is actually true or if this was like a shooped image meant to be hyperbolic or make a political statement. Is it true that the little Orwell memorial there has like closed circuit TV cameras all over it, pointing everywhere to make sure nobody like defaces Orwell's grave? Can you say fucking irony and not in a funny way? I find it amazing. And it's like the UK's legacy media over there, like, the Independent or whatever. I guess they promote this behavior. They think that it's actually funny. Well, what would happen if it were a rock? You've had, situations where people there, Robinson on multiple occasions, have been assaulted. That behavior does happen, and it seems to be coming primarily from the far left. When I look at political violence, I keep seeing these little things where like, oh, far-right violence is so much more common. I never see how are you classing them as far right? Like the fact that they're not, wearing a Che shirt means that they're automatic. If they're politically motivated at all and it's not specifically by communism, does it count as far right? Whose standards of what is right or left are you even using? By the way, In some cases, it seems that that's conflating specifically religious violence with the right wing, like the traditionalist sort of thing. You can make a case for that in some cases, but most people would differentiate the two. Yeah, that's going to make it look more significant than it really is. But that's like saying if someone's motivated by they hate the police, it's automatically far-left violence because Antifa or something like that. I doubt that they class that. And by the way, then there's a differentiation between who gets prosecuted. I think you need to look at that distinguishing factor as well. Most of those stats are just for the U.S. I haven't seen any in the U.K. But technically, it's assault every time, I guess, that one of these milkshakes is being thrown, but it's not going to make it into the crime statistics, probably. Won't even get called politically motivated. It's like if you're religiously motivated when you shoot up the shopping mall, it depends on which religion you're following, I guess, whether it even gets counted as a crime statistic. They don't want to scare people, I suppose. But Milkshake Mayhem in the UK. Now, the throwing milkshakes at Nigel Farage and stuff, I guess mainly it's aimed at like the Brexiteer sort of side of things. You gotta understand though, 30-40% of the population is now supporting a platform-free single-issue party. It's just like with UKIP, it's just like with Brexit. Single issue, that's all that they have. UKIP, has a backslide because they adopt an actual platform. Now that's fucking surreal. On both sides, some people are a little bit single-minded, but with the Brexit party, that's the whole goal. It's like, hey, we want a Brexit. That's pretty much it. That's all that Nigel Farage cares about. It's very interesting that a party that is essentially one man saying the same thing he's been saying for however many years, for a couple of decades, I think at this point, is now in the general elections coming up. And I didn't know this when I made my last video about the Brexit party, by the way, to anyone who doesn't realize. Farage's party is arguably in a strong third place showing already for the next general elections and pulling ahead fast. They could end up replacing the Conservative Party fundamentally within the UK. Although with the voting situation there as it is, they might have relatively less representation. It is likely that you are going to have people in the UK's parliament, a significant number, after the next general election, who don't fundamentally have a manifesto or platform at all other than they want Brexit to occur. Well, that's going to play havoc with everything. You're not going to see a ruling coalition of conservatives. You're going to see basically the Brexit party is going to end up ruling alongside them as the major partner, possibly. It could. It'd be funny if they partner with the communist movement or something. The Pirate Party MP tips them over and gives them their 51%, their majority or whatever. Nigel Farage as Speaker of Parliament or whatever fucking position he would have. That would be so interesting. It would be interesting. You should make Nigel Farage your Prime Minister just to say fuck you to the EU. And to have somebody in that situation that can actually negotiate Brexit properly. Hey, got it done before against all odds. Everything was stacked against him. The polling said there'd be no Brexit. And this was very funny. The early exit polling said no Brexit. People marched and huzzahed and cheered on all the communists over there that want globalism and stuff like that. And it still happened. Again, against all odds, it really was a miniature replication of the U.S. 2016 election. Bolsonaro and Duterte would fit into the same category. Yes, there's a paradigm shift in this world happening, and there are people being left behind. The neoliberal ideology is fundamentally dying because it decided to become corrupt and authoritarian and started pissing the wrong people off. People who are now under stress, who are disproportionately on the young side, driven, motivated, charismatic in some cases. They have to call their fucking billionaire buddies to try to tamp down on it. But then I guess the answer to that, if you want to be part of the Rebel Alliance, go buy a vanilla milkshake and throw it at a politician for no apparent reason. By the way, the optics of that don't work in your favor. When you assault people, when you get violent, arguably, or you throw things and stuff like that, it makes you look unruly. It makes you look like the violent. Supposedly, people like Robinson and Farage represent fascism and evil and tyranny, which is bullshit, but that doesn't argue in your favor when you throw stuff at people. It's just never a good idea, just for optics reasons alone. That's about all. Peace out.